The peppers are looking so good that got repotted. Little ones that were later starts. Look at those. Oh, that's a tomato plant. That's not peppers. Here we go. It's going to rain most of today, so I thought I'd take you out to the greenhouse early and show you what's growing. So, since last time, we've added 2 more raised beds. I'll do an update on that project. When you only work in the evenings and a little bit during the day, not as much gets done every day. So, of our spearmint, which has started growing like crazy. Our rabbits and chickens are totally loving it. Wasn't sure it was going to grow because the chickens dug this up, and I figured that it would be short for this world, but it's growing like crazy and it smells amazing. So let's see. Here's the raised beds. Some things are growing like crazy here. We got the bok choy, so it's baby bok choy, not the big bok choy, but it started growing. We planted this. The beans are still looking pretty good. I didn't think we were going to plant them here, but the kids really wanted to. So there's another bok choy. These smaller heads are pretty fun. You can plant them closer together, and 2 of them is more than enough for fried rice or noodle stir fry, and so it makes it so that we don't waste any. Cabbage! This cabbage looks so good. Look at that. And they're starting to, let's see if we can get in there. They're starting to form heads. Because we put them in the raised beds, we haven't had the little brown rabbits get into them that are wild around here. And I'd like to say we don't have rats, but they also couldn't be nibbled by those if we have them around. Then my sister brought us some celery starts. We haven't grown celery before, but we went ahead and put them in. We use celery. It's just something we hadn't done before. Here they are. Then the lettuce is perking up. Broccolini getting bigger. The weather has been cool, so these plants are loving it, and we haven't put the tomatoes and the peppers out yet. When we do, we'll cover around them with straw to keep the soil temperature much warmer, but are going to keep them in the greenhouse as long as we possibly can. Some of the tomato cages we picked up this last weekend that we had made last year out of cattle panels that we bent into these squares. We'll probably plant these denser than we have in the past, and then thin the vines very purposefully, so that we only have those that are going to produce tomatoes. So my thought is we'll probably put 6 tomatoes in here, and then this side will be one variety and this side will be a different variety, so they can grow together a little bit, and we'll see how that goes. Otherwise it's 4. We'll get plenty of tomatoes, but not as many, so we'll see. Then here we've planted some mixed cool weather starts that we're kind of struggling to see what they do, since we're not going to fill this with peppers just yet. We had some wind, so all of the beautiful flowers that were on these flowering pear and cherry trees are long gone. Okay. Oops, turn it. So now we'll wait and see if they're just flowering trees. We bought this place so late in the year that we didn't get to see if anything actually was going to grow. Still not seeing very many bees, but we've seen a couple. So we'll see how that goes. We picked up some raspberry starts This one, not looking so good. This one's looking great. And I'd say this one isn't going to make it. So we are at the greenhouse. Let's head on inside. It's like a green plant utopia in here. Ah, it's warmer too. Yay. So we sprinkled some carrot seeds in there. Not many. And also over here was an experiment. We've never put them in raised beds. Carrots are pretty readily available and not particularly expensive in the grocery store. We've never seen a carrot shortage, so we tend to grow few of them. So the beans, we have our sugar snap peas. We're going to come and pick those today. We have a whole nother set of sprouts. We'll plant these. We didn't expect them to take off the way they did and end up pollinated. So we'll transplant these maybe today, but probably during the week and see what they do. We have our basil. We've debated whether or not to plant the basil in with the tomatoes, and the jury is still out, though we have some pots next to the house, and these would be great to put in them, and it would smell amazing. Something nibbled this. I don't know what that is. Well, I mean, I know what it is, but I don't know what ate it. We haven't seen very many slugs yet. We know that that is an issue over here, so we'll see. Keep an eye on it as the year progresses. These were some of the starts that we did not replant, and they're starting to get, I think the term would be root bound, where they've outgrown their pots, but we don't have more big pots for them right now until we get the acorn squash and zucchini, which by the way are doing amazing. Check these out. So here we have our Black Beauty green zucchini starts. Here we eat a lot of zucchini. So zucchini bread, sauteed, stuffed. I saw somebody make a zucchini salad where it was raw. We haven't tried that. Maybe we'll try that this year. So these are all zucchini, and with the exception of this back one, they look great. And we added 2 more beds in a different place to put them. Let's see, here are some more tomatoes. Tomatoes. Once we get these planted today, these zucchini, we'll be able to transplant some of these bigger tomato plants so that they have space for their roots to branch out. Also the acorn squash. Here, more zucchini, much smaller. We're wondering, and we're going to have to experiment with why these zucchini starts that were started at the same time are not growing as well as these. If it's placement in the greenhouse or just a fluke. We'll see. So then we have, I was going to say tomatoes. This is not a tomato. This is a raspberry plant. Here we have our big tomatoes. Cherokee Purple, Green Zebra, Early Girl, couple Romas. We tried to plant some of each in these bigger pots and then move them over, the smaller ones over as we plant. Let's see. Here we still have basil and we have some more cabbage. We just had such a great germination. Now we have too many plants. It's a good problem to have, though, seriously. And so we come across here, let's see. These are starting to, some smaller basil. Need to clip it so that it'll grow some more tomatoes. A lot of this is cabbage. Oh, there's a big cabbage over there. The trick with cabbage is because when it nibbles the head, it won't come to a head at all. That unless it's going to get planted up we need to not plant it outside of the greenhouse unless it's up. We've seen quite a few baby cinnamons, as they would be called around here. They're all named Cinnamon, every wild rabbit. So what does that mean? It means that we can't leave the plants down. We've seen some in our yard. It also means that we may see more coyotes, because coyotes and bobcats, I think, eat the rabbits. And we've certainly seen both at this house since we've been here. So we'll see what the summer brings. Let's step out. Those last two raised beds we put in. Nothing is planted yet, but a lot of dirt went in. Took a lot of time to do it. Cleared this all out. And we're going to put in the black privacy fabric, but haven't gotten to it yet. So here we're going to put zucchini, maybe an acorn squash, but really I think 4 zucchini will be what happens. We could not find yellow squash seeds this year, so it's going to just be Black Beauty zucchini. Then we cleared all of this out. We left this beautiful tree that frames the greenhouse. It's just too beautiful to remove. But we did trim it back so that it wasn't growing over this area. I'm going to clear out part of this brush, but we like the privacy of these other trees and how pretty it is with the back of the greenhouse covered. So we have the lilacs that are blooming. Anyway, so we also plugged so many holes in the fence line. We had chickens that were apparently parading around the neighborhood, and so to combat that, we had to switch gears. Isn't that farm life? Something comes up, you have to table what you're working on and fix the problem, and then you can come back. And that's what we ended up doing here. So all the fence line, and actually we need to go back. That looks like that got knocked. Where the ground was lower than the fence now from erosion, we filled with bricks that we had, with pieces of tree that we had removed, and to keep them from heading out from under there. We also had to make areas of our fence taller. There were some angry chickens, but they have not been out now for 3 days, so to take their revenge, they are hiding their eggs now. But it's a small area to hide them in, and we have kids to go and look for them, so we'll find them all eventually, and they will have to just, you know, get over it. So, ooh, here are the apple blossoms that we had this week. So incredibly beautiful. So this is the semi-dwarf 4-way combo apple tree that we got from Swanson's Nursery. And so we had a lot of these varieties we have never eaten before. So we have Sunrise Magic Apple. We'll see what that tastes like. And that is these beautiful pink and white blossoms. They're just absolutely beautiful. And then the white blossoms that came out this week, blossomed, are from a, what is that, Z-Star apple. If you have eaten these apples, please comment. I would love to hear how you're using them. They're varieties that we haven't used before. We have not had any blossoms on this limb, which was this Gravenstein. Boy, I haven't used Shayless apple. What was this one? I think this was, no, yeah. Oh, Cosmic Crisp. I ate my first one of those today. Jury is still out on that. I'm not quite sure what I would use them for. It's interesting. They're very tart, like almost like a Granny Smith, but then they've got sweet, and the texture was weird. So we'll see. With it being sweet, it might make great applesauce that doesn't need sugar, but it's also got a real tang to it. So that's going to take some experimenting. But the Sunrise Magic, never heard of it. I was really hoping we'd get one with a yellow delicious limb, but we went through every tree they had and it didn't. Then we picked up a different one from a different nursery. We hadn't intended on doing that. And it, you know, you get one and then you see one that has different varieties on it. And these were slightly more familiar. So this one has Honeycrisp and I'm gonna mispronounce this. Is that a cane apple? This is something I haven't cooked with before. Liberty apple, I'm pretty sure I've used, and then a Spartan apple, but again, nothing had a Golden Delicious. I may have to just get a Golden Delicious tree. 2 years ago, couldn't find them anywhere, and it felt like the end of the world. Is that weird? So we may have to do that, but we did not have blossoms this week on this tree, and I don't know if it means that we won't have blossoms this year or if the positioning is different, because this one, if you look, gets really good sun from there. This one has been tucked back under the tree and a little bit behind the shade of the greenhouse, so we'll watch. My sister says our pear tree is in fact alive and needs more sun and water, so we're going to move it and put it in the sun. I thought we lost it, so I don't know. Time will tell. And then the next project that we started was, where are we going to put the corn? I didn't show you the corn starts. They look amazing, and we have to have a place to plant them. And this spot right here, with the exception of the beautiful lilac that we're going to try to get to grow over this side of the greenhouse, gets full sun all day when it's not cloudy, which it is now. And it actually looks like it's going to rain, so we're going to wrap this up. But we started clearing this area so that we can put the corn in, because we have to get that planted soon. We got another tree. We have too many fruit trees. This is a good problem to have. Anyway, so that's what we have growing.